Hello everyone, Crash here with RTA Motorsports. Today I'm going to give you my first impressions of my new Heusinkveld sprint pedals and their sequential shifter. Here we go.
Welcome to RTA Motorsports.
Alright everyone, before we jump into how the pedals feel, just kind of wanted to show you their website. We're on Heusinkveld's website right now. This is where I purchased the pedals themselves. And these are the sprint pedals right there in front of you. You could buy them in many different orientations. You could buy them just as a 2-pedal set. You could add on the clutch later on by itself. But yeah, they have a nice little pedal selection guide here that kind of talks about every different type of sim racer and what you could expect to get out of it. But the sim pedal sprints, the nice thing about this versus the Ultimates is it actually incorporates some software that you could use for calibration and everything. You can see it right down here, the Smart Control 1.3.3. That's the current version that I'm on right now. And this is what the software looks like. So when you load it up, you have your 3 pedals here. And you can see as you're pressing them in real time, you get to see the output. That brake is pretty solid. And there's a clutch there. And then also you could just set each to whatever curve you want to, or you could adjust these sliders depending on what you feel you would need in each area of the pedal. Completely customizable, very easy to understand. I mean, when this just came up, it just made sense as to what you need to do. This here, it brings you right through the calibration. If you start calibration, just kind of brings you through each pedals. Almost like any of the sim racing titles that we use, the calibration walked you through it in that same fashion. There's images and everything like that. Very easy to do. Now, from within here, you don't automatically get their profiles. You have to look on their website and find their profile screen. And let's see. Yep, this is the page here. If you just search on their website a little bit through the software, you'll find this page here where they create custom-made profiles for a lot of the titles that are very common: ACC, iRacing, rFactor 2. So within here, you just click the download link right here, and that will download a bunch of presets that Heusinkveld themselves have made. So let's actually take a look at those. So from within here, we could go to Open Profile from Disk. And you can see we have ACC, Assetto Corsa, iRacing, rFactor 2, Rain V1. I'm not sure what that is, but let's look at iRacing. Now, there's not every car on here, but there's a vast majority of different cars. So if, let's just say we're looking at the dirt sprint car, for example, right? You can see the solid green line is our current setup that we have. And that ghosted line underneath is going to be the change that will take effect. Oh. So if I click Save to New, now it's adjusted right to there. So let's go to Open Profile from Disk again. GT3 is what I commonly race. And you can see the differences there. So then at this point, the throttle mapping would be completely linear. You got a little bit of a dip there for the brake. And obviously the brake is not going to be utilizing the entire brake force of the entire load cell. And same thing with the clutch. Well, it looks like the clutch is actually going all the way up. Yep, there's just a curve there. And of course, if you don't use a clutch in GT3 cars, you know, that clutch pedal assignment just not going to matter. Let's look at the MX-5. That's another commonly raced series. You got the brake utilizing the entire brake force there. The clutch is very similar, but the throttle has a little bit of an upward curve there. So that's pretty interesting there. Probably will help with like heel toe. All right, so let's actually leave that because I'm having a little bit of an issue with heel toeing myself. I need to get used to these new shoes that I have. So yeah, let's leave that, and we're gonna jump into iRacing right now and see how this feels with an H pattern shifter. All right, everyone, so we're in iRacing right now, in the Lotus 79. Not a car or a series that we drive too often, but figured it would be as good of a test as any to test out these pedals and H pattern. Get the clutch going. We're in an open practice session, so hopefully I don't mess up anyone else's practice here. Ooh, almost misshifted there. Glad I caught that one. So I had to break out the old moccasins for this because the new racing shoes still kind of getting used to the feel of them. You're gonna probably notice on the pedals a little bit of like almost sand appearance on the pedals, and that's actually the soles of my new shoes kind of getting chewed up a little bit from these pedals. The edges of the pedals are a little bit sharp, so definitely would not recommend racing in socks with these shoes unless you lower the brake force and the pedal forces down a little bit. The gas and brake is not so much the problem. The gas and clutch are not so much the problem. It's the brake. Oh, what am I doing? Kind of sliding back and forth on the pedals a little bit. But it's not like chewing out the pedals where, the shoes where they're getting messed up or anything. They're brand new shoes, so kind of to be expected. The bottoms look just fine. But this brake, you could really put a lot of force into that brake before you max out that load cell, and that's not something you're going to want to experience in your socks if that's what you're going to try to do. You got to say, this clutch, kind of the first thing that hit me was clutch feels very similar to the strength and the engagement as my car. And just for reference, I have a 2018 Camaro ZL1, and it feels very similar to the weight and the engagement. Very smooth pedal. Woo! I love how smooth everything is. So the throttle pedal is nice and smooth, has a little bit of a weight to it, but it does snap back really fast, so you can get on and off very quick, and you don't feel your foot actually coming off the pedal. The clutch, you kind of lose sense of that sort of cam or that pressure plate simulation feeling a little bit. It's still there, but the weight of it is enough and the actuation of it is enough that it feels natural, like you're in a real car. And just like you're in a real car, you're not always feeling that pressure plate sort of feeling, especially if you're on the track. You kind of just hit that clutch way down, and I do feel inclined to make sure that I have that clutch to press all the way. Oh man, this could potentially be an amazing series. I'm sure it is. I'm just wondering why I have neglected it. Now that we have these new pedals, I may have to start jumping in here a little bit more. This brake has given me so much more confidence. I just feel like there's so much more room to move around on the brake, oddly enough. As I don't know if that's a correct description right there, but I think because of the way that I have it set up for me and my liking, I have a little bit more throw. But on top of that, the load cell, I have the load cell turned up quite a bit, so that way I could get a little bit more muscle memory, and I'm not just so quick to maxing out that brake pedal. But as I'm testing their pedals and their sequential shifter here, I do gotta say it seems to be a common theme with Heusinkveld products so far is that everything has a great weight to it, everything has a great feel, and everything is really smooth. I definitely get the feeling that these pedals are going to outlast my rig. And what I mean by that is not necessarily I think my rig's going to break or anything. Kind of mean that I may change up everything before these pedals ever see the moment of dying. So I may get a new set of pedals, maybe Heusinkveld, then to be Ultimates. But I do gotta say, if I were to ever move up to the Ultimates, or whatever the Ultimates are in the future, because I really don't feel inclined to, or the need to actually get new pedals. I do gotta say, I would really want whatever they are to have this software on board, because this software makes fine-tuning them so easy, and the software is so easy to use. I hate using the word software because normally it means you have to learn something, but the software is brilliant. I kind of knew what everything was just from the simple fact of knowing how to set up pedals in sim titles. They kind of use that similar method, so it makes it very easy for us to understand. And I know the Ultimates don't have the use of that software, so maybe in future iterations of them, maybe that's when I'll go to something like that. But these pedals feel just so good for what I need them for, what I use them for. That brake force that's available to me is it's so good that I don't feel like I need anything else right now, which is an awesome feeling. Alright everyone, so we're inside Dirt Rally 2.0. Now don't judge my driving, I haven't been in this title for a really long time, but this is kind of where I wanted to test the sequential shifter big time. Now I really like how I have it set up right now. The sequential shifter is like really close to my steering wheel, so I could get back on the steering wheel real fast. And also, the way I have the pedal set up right now, the brake pedal is going to require pretty much all that force to get me to lock up the brakes. I do have that load cell pretty much maxed out, but you could set all that from within the software, which is awesome. But I'm really liking how I have it set up at the moment. As far as GT3 cars go, let's see how we do here. All right, here we go.
5, 4, 3.
I really like how that throttle feels. It's super smooth. There's a little bit of weight behind it. You know, it feels substantial. Some pedals, the throttle just feels like air. You know what I mean? You don't really get any feeling out of it. This one here, you can still develop that muscle memory to know where you are throttle-wise, which is awesome.
6 right, very long of a dip.
It's the first time I've had pedals that had load cells on all 3 pedals.
And a keep left over 260 over crests to dip.
Really liking where I have the sequential shifter set up, but the downside to where I have it set up myself is the side of it is rubbing against my leg a little bit, so I just have to be a little conscious about where my leg placement is on the throttle.
And 4 right long, tightens 2, pass logs. 30, 4 left of a crest, into 4 right of a jump, and 4 left long through gate, tightens 2.
The sequential shifter has a little bit of a, like a cam point that you have to go past. So you have a really nice feeling there. It's very smooth. Just like everything else that I'm kind of noticing with these Heusinkveld products, everything's very smooth. So there's a point of initiation, a cam you have to get past, but you don't have like a click at the end. Just a smooth dead point, which is fine for me. And you're not going to have any misshifts with this. you have to get past that
Left into 6
point
right
of initiation,
and
and then it
left
falls
of a
into
crest
gear.
camber.
But again, there's no
To
click
keep
at the
right of a
end.
crest into
Not
4
like
long of a dip.
some others that are out there,
60.
which you may or may not like that, but
Crest and
for me, I haven't really tried too many others besides my Fanatec SQ here.
90. Crest and
So
5
I
left,
really can't
don't
say
cut.
too much.
To jump 60. Flat middle of a big jump to bump, keep right over 100 of a
Oh,
crest
yeah.
and gate to
The
jump
brake pedal.
60, crest into 4 left of a crest, bump extra long, tighten slow 1.
Oh man, I couldn't talk through there. I got a little intense for me. The brake pedal is probably the biggest thing I'm having to get used to, and I'm still getting used to it. I have the big bushing or the large bushing that came stock in it in there, because I like a little bit more pedal travel. It's a very firm pedal, especially just the way it came out of the box. I mean, I just left it like that.
2 left, cut.
But there is still a little bit of a pedal travel there, and I do like how much force is required to really get that load cell maxed out.
Open happy left.
It's definitely
100.
a bit more force
Right, very long.
than what
Opens,
I
don't
experienced
cut
on
to
my
the crest,
Fanatec
locks.
V3s.
Keep left over 100. 4 right, very long. Tightens 3. Opens 50. 4 right of a crest to dip. 4 right of a jump into slow. 1 left long. Opens of a crest.
Oh, this is awesome.
40. 5 right of a jump.
Almost cut that one
40.
way too much.
4 right, very long. Tightens 3 of a dip.
But in their accessory kit that they give you with the pedals, they do include 2 more bushings of, they're both thinner. Oh, what am I doing?
6 right.
So that way you can decide how much pedal travel you want, how firm do you want that pedal to feel. I can make this pedal feel a lot firmer.
80. Jump 40. Crest and 4 right. Opens 60.
Oh, I'm already sweating.
4 right. Opens 50. 4 left and flat crest 50. 3 right long of a crest. Tightens 2 long. Opens 6 long of a crest. Slow 80, turn unseen hairpin left. Opens long of a crest. 30.
Oh, that wasn't the best hairpin ever.
Crest. Opens 30.
That was not.
6 left of a crest. 40.
I lost some time on there, definitely.
Right of a double crest into 4 left. Tightens very long. Opens 130.
Oh,
Turn 6 right long, slow 60, downhill, turn open hairpin right. 40.
oh no!
Left of a crest, 40.
Destroying their fences.
5
Oh well.
left of a crest, into 5 right, and 5 left long, to crest, and 3 right long, tightens, 60, downhill, 5 right of a crest.
It's
into
really,
4 left,
really immersive now.
opens 60.
And honestly,
6 left past logs, 150.
this body of the sequential shifter being so small helped me really get this as close as I could to me,
Into 5 left.
which is
Into
something
5
I
right
wanted
of a
to
crest,
do.
Into don't cut 6 left. And 5 right. Opens of a crest at 50.
Oh my
Crest,
gosh.
And 4 right of a crest tightens at 30.
This is awesome.
4 left of a crest, 30.
Oh, no.
3 right of a dip, 100. 4 left tightens.
Oh, we're back off again!
Flat middle of a crest, 100.
Losing time. Losing time.
4 left of a crest, into 3 right. Opens long, 150. 4 right, into 4 left. Into 4 right, opens of a crest, 40. 5 right, opens 100. Bump, 4 right, very long, tightens 1. Opens and tightens. into 5 left of a crest, into 4 right, 4 left, opens of a crest, 40, flat left of a jump, 40 of a finish, 3 right tightens narrow, into 4 left to stop. Well done.
Oh man, oh man.
How did the car feel
something.
in that stage? Do you want to make any setup changes at the next service?
All right, so just a quick wrap up as far as my experiences so far with owning these pedals and the sequential shifter. As you saw in my driving videos there, the one thing I kept repeating over and over again is just how smooth everything is, how everything has a good weight to it, how everything feels substantial. And that really kind of carried over to both the items that we have here. Again, I don't own the Handbrake. I've never tried the Heusinkveld Ultimates. And these are my first pedals that I've ever tried that have a load cell on all 3 pedals. Again, we came from the Fanatec V3s that only have the load cell on the brake. So far, the software was very intuitive, very easy to use. As you saw earlier, that all was just, it didn't really take any time to read anything or anything like that or learn some new software. It all just made sense, especially setting up pedals in simulators. Like iRacing, Assetto Corsa Competizione. It all makes sense. It all just kind of followed that same theme, the same steps that we have used before. As far as mounting everything, you do have, and we're going to go over this a lot more in the review, you have multiple mounting options for the sequential shifter, as well as you have some good mounting options for the pedals. Now, for the pedals to my rig, I do got to say the pedal deck themselves, the holes didn't line up with the Prosimu T1000 completely. There's 3 rows of holes that you can mount to the pedal plate. If you mount the top down, you can kind of mark where the bottom holes or the middle holes are gonna line up. And then from there, I just had to drill 2 holes so that way in my Prosimu rig, so that way I can mount, both top and bottom and not, leave something unmounted. And you're definitely gonna wanna make sure that you mount those pedals down as firmly as possible. It's the first time I've ever experienced any flex within my rig being steel. It's all steel, it's not aluminum at all, but we are experiencing some pedal plate flex within the rig itself, not the pedal plate that comes from Heusinkveld. And it's just because when I was first testing it, I maxed out the load cell so that way I could get all that load cell goodness in the brake, but in doing so, the amount of force that is required to fully max out that load cell if you're locking up the brakes, I've actually noticed a little bit of flex there in the pedal plate. It's very slight, very, very slight movement, and not anything that I noticed while driving, but it actually is something that needs to be said. It's out there, so that way you make sure that if you do buy these pedals, you make sure you mount them down to a surface that could handle it, and also mount them completely down so that way there's no movement within the pedals themselves. Also, a lot of people, they have a complaint of the channel of the pedal plates on the side and actually fitting anything in there. They do come with hex bolts and nuts, and I didn't have any problems basically using those. Just was able to fit a ratchet underneath with this rig here. Getting underneath the pedal plate's fairly easy, so I was able to fit a ratchet underneath there and a hex wrench on top and just get them all tightened down and cinched up. So no problems there at all. But I do got to say, I mean, everything kind of came together really easily. Everything fit fine after I drilled those 2 holes. And overall, the experience has been pretty straightforward and pretty easy. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Again, this is just my first impressions. This is not the full review. I need to kind of live with these products for a little bit and see if any problems sort of develop. That's my normal testing methodology. I like to see if anything kind of develops, not only in the hardware, but in this case now, the software as well. I don't really foresee any, but just in case, I need to put that out there. Again, with full first impressions, it's just my objective opinion as to what I'm feeling at the time. I don't know the ins and outs completely of the pedals yet. Sequential shifter is pretty cut and dry, but with the pedals, I'm still kind of learning all the ins and outs of it. I haven't tried all the profiles with the corresponding vehicles and everything like that. If you have any tips or tricks, if you own these pedals and you have some things that you want me to try, definitely leave them in the comment box below. I'm definitely still learning, and I love to learn, and I love the tips that you all kind of give and share in this community. They'll definitely be greatly appreciated. And also, I want to say thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. We do have other reviews that are in the works right now. For instance, the HP Reverb G2, I've lived with it long enough and kind of waited for some things to come to fruition. Some have not. So I think it's time that we actually get that review done, as well as the Oculus Quest 2. We're going to be doing that review in terms of how it relates to sim racing on the rig. Everyone, I'm Crash, this is RTA Motorsports. Be safe, be happy. Catch you all next time.